is the Blazers.
Hmm.
What I mean by that is I'm not perplexed per se. Maybe I'm not perplexed, but maybe I'd throw them in the same league as the Mavericks, and like there wasn't too much that they did, and it felt like it just felt kind of like they should have done more, especially with the positions their stars are in, uh, i.e. Luca and Lillard.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the Blazers, it felt a little more desperate, but like the wrong moves, like not reading the room. Like they just signed a bunch of veterans, but not veterans in the way that we talked about um, the Lakers. It just felt like it added like a bunch of depth players, which is not what they needed. This is not what they needed. That was a problem heading into the season. And Norman Powell was decent, but I don't know if he's that great that you're like, I'm glad we're resigning him. Maybe it's just to make the trade look like it was a good trade. But I mean, Gary Trent did pretty solid in Toronto for a little bit
Good.
for a stretch, and I'm glad he got re-signed. And shout out to Gary Trent, but
Very, yeah.
but it's just like I think this is more of a transition into. Do we think Lillard's going to be happy with this team? They're just running it back with saying Chauncey Billups instead of Stotts. That's pretty much it.
I think there are many rumors out there, but people have said Lillard has kept quiet and he hasn't talked that much because he didn't want to take away from the Olympics and Team USA,
Yeah,
in Tokyo. But now that they're back, stuff might happen. There's still a chance he demands a trade, and he's gone by season start, not wearing a Portland Trailblazers uniform. This team, if I'm doing Damian Lillard, I'm looking at this team like exactly what you said. What have we done? Because last season he explicitly stated that we aren't doing enough. Like I've given all my best. Our team hasn't done enough to get over the hump. And all the free agency moves and all the signings here definitely does not represent getting over the hump. Changing a coach, I guess, could be a little bit of a change, but that's not really like talent. I think, as good as the coaching is, the talent put out on the court still has to be definitely sufficient for anything to happen. And at this point, nothing is happening. So if I had to make a prediction, I think Dame might actually make a trade request. I'm not even like I don't even think that's out of the realm possibility. I think it's definitely realistic. I think he definitely maybe want to keep things quiet. Not take the shine off of the Olympics. And
yeah.
now that everything's done, he might just go ahead and make that move. What do you think?
Um, I think maybe I mean when you think about the situation Beal's in, he might be in the same situation Beal is in, where they have the similar mindsets to where I might want to be going to a better team, but I don't. I mean, because of the demeanors of these guys, they don't get um they're very loyal. It feels like to their teams. Like I feel like Beal and Lillard, like Lillard understands the sway that he has in Portland, and um, sway in a sense like how much he means to that city and that organization. And I don't think he
Yeah.
wants to do it dirty by like kind of trivializing making a trade request. So I think if it gets to a point where I don't know if it's going to happen during the off season, but if let's say similar to Harden, let's say, well, Harden was in the middle. No, let's say Harden, right? Harden, it was getting in training camp, and it's like I'm just getting traded. It was like beginning of the year. I'm gonna get traded. Trade me. I could see that with Lillard or Beal. I don't see it happening during the offseason. I don't see him making a trade request like in the dead heat of the I mean in the straight up in this off season. But I think when the season starts, um, and like we get into practices and stuff, and if he sees this team is just not improved, and maybe you get in a couple weeks of him trying hard to carry this team, and the team is just the same as it was, then he would make a trade request. unless Chauncey Billups actually makes a tangible improvement on this team, he's making a trade request. But I think he's going to wait out to see if that happens.
Fair point. I think that's definitely fair. And, that's probably more realistic path. I just think there's been a lot of things said this summer. And, I think Dame, as loyal as he is, he's also a very smart guy. And, listening to what Kevin Garnett had to say multiple times this summer about, I've been so loyal to Minnesota, but, I wish it would have gone to Boston earlier in my career. Yeah. That's something that definitely compels Dame. He knows that, he is one of those guys that it's more towards legacy than just career. There's more to his story than just being an NBA player because he is that good. So
yeah,
it is. He's just wasting his time away in Portland if it is what this looks like at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, nothing much to add there. I just think Blazers should have done more, especially with this Lillard situation. Like it's different than let's say Ben Simmons or Bradley Beal, just because we know the Wizards, it's because they're not necessarily haven't been, no offense to Beal, he's just not as good as Damian Lillard. I'm just gonna say that, like,
oh yeah,
for sure. So I feel like the Wizards have been in like a period where it's like we don't know if we can really just win with this guy as our main guy, and we don't know if we have enough resources to invest around this. So we're gonna do a youth movement, see if he wants to leave or not. That's up to him. But with the Sixers, on the other hand, that's the other disgruntled star, let's say. It's more of like, we kind of want you gone, but it's completely because I think with the Blazers it's different, where it's like you are not the ones in power. Like, it's like Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers was the one in power, not the Green Bay Packers. Like, Aaron Rodgers was the one that was going to dictate what was going to happen. Right. That's the same thing with the Blazers, and they didn't do much. We might have, I don't see, Lillard is not the type of guy, in my opinion, from what little I've seen. We don't know that much about these NBA players. We're just, two guys just talking about this. But what I believe about Damian Lillard is I don't think he's the guy to do what Aaron Rodgers kind of did this summer or this offseason, to try and make a big spectacle out of it. For better or worse, Aaron Rodgers is going through, mental, he's talking about trying to get better mental health and all of that. And not to get too much of the NFL into this point I'm making is I don't think Damian Lillard is going to do too much of that. But I think, like, in his mind, like that Kevin Garnett quote you're talking about, I think he's definitely thinking about that right now. And yep. I think he's thinking what Aaron Rodgers was doing out in the open. I think he's doing, like, in his own mind, because similar to how the Packers didn't really, that offseason at least. We've debated about this with the NFL stuff. I think we both believe the Packers have have actually done well by Aaron Rodgers, even if he doesn't think so. But the Blazers haven't, right? The Blazers just haven't this offseason. And
okay,
you should be in that situation.
I'm just going to say that's night and day for me, in personal opinion. The Packers, they've made NFC championships year after year, like NFC championships. Okay, that's
the Blazers made the Western Conference Finals for like many years, or like 2 years, right?
No, I think they've made it once. I'm pretty sure they've only made it once.
I thought it was twice. All right, fine, once, but they've been, I don't know. They've gone to conference semifinals.
The Packers have been in football. I think is a much like. I think, like, for basketball, it's, in some ways, I think in football, like, to get to NFC championship year after year, it's much more impressive than, just players making it once, but also being in the mix. Like, that's a long, long shot away from being, like, at the doorstep of a Super Bowl every single year, basically.
I guess the point I was making is maybe we disagree on how much the organization's role had to do with it. But I think we can agree that the ball, like, people in control are the players, right? Damian Lillard's in control of the situation. Aaron Rodgers is in control of the situation. That's what I mean. Regardless of whether we think that the Packers did right or wrong by him, we both think he did right by him. The Blazers, we don't think are doing right by Damian Lillard. But that's what I'm saying. The Blazers should be trying to do more, because, like, this, all the leverage is with Damian Lillard, right? the leverage isn't all with Ben Simmons, right? During this offseason. The leverage it kind of is with all of Bradley Beal, but like the Wizards don't care as much as the Blazers definitely would care.
Right.
That's the point I'm making. So this is all roundabout way of just saying it's kind of ridiculous that the Blazers aren't doing much more.
Yep. Agreed.
That's all I gotta say.